Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at something pretty wild: how immigrant traditions are preserved, adapted, and sometimes completely reinvented right here in the United States. We're going to explore the surprising journey of cultural holidays, starting with one of the most widely celebrated, yet honestly, most frequently misunderstood days on the calendar.
So, a quick pop quiz for you. Do you think May 5th marks Mexico's Independence Day? If you asked a random person on the street, there's a very high chance they would confidently say yes for sure. It's an incredibly common assumption here in the US.
Well, it turns out that's actually a massive myth. Mexican Independence Day is really celebrated on September 16th. So what exactly is Cinco de Mayo? It literally marks an unbelievable underdog story. Back in 1862, a heavily outnumbered and poorly equipped Mexican force somehow managed to defeat a massive, elite French army at the Battle of Puebla. It was a completely shocking victory that instantly became this powerful symbol of resistance and national pride.
You know what's really fascinating about this, though? Today, down in Mexico, this date isn't a massive national event at all. It's actually a relatively minor holiday. The celebrations are mostly localized right in the state of Puebla, where that historic battle took place, featuring military parades and reenactments, rather than nationwide fiestas.
Section 1. Becoming an American holiday. How a regional Mexican victory became a massive U.S. phenomenon.
So, how in the world did this specific event make the jump from Puebla to the entire United States? Well, the holiday's evolution here can actually be broken down into three distinct, super fascinating eras. Its core meaning definitely didn't stay static. It completely transformed over the last century and a half, adapting to the changing political and cultural landscape of every single generation.
Let's trace exactly how this builds. Step 1 takes us all the way back to the 1860s. Right after the battle happened, Mexican Americans in California began celebrating the victory. For them, it was an early sign of political solidarity. They actually saw the French invasion of Mexico as intertwined with the Confederacy's fight in the U.S. Civil War. So celebrating the Battle of Puebla was a way to support democratic ideals and firmly oppose slavery and European monarchy. Then we jump forward to step 2 in the 1960s and 70s. The holiday was revived and massively expanded by the Chicano civil rights movement. In this era of intense activism, youth and community leaders used Cinco de Mayo to boldly emphasize Mexican-American identity, demand civil rights, and celebrate their cultural pride in the face of discrimination. Finally, step 3 brings us from the 1980s right into the present day. And this is where mainstream commercialization really takes over. Marketers, especially in the alcohol and restaurant industries, heavily capitalized on the festive nature of the day. Unfortunately, this intense commercialization is exactly why the holiday sometimes gets reduced to simple parties and drink promotions, often completely bearing its rich historical roots.
Section 2. A better way to celebrate. Moving beyond commercial stereotypes to genuine cultural appreciation.
Because, let's be honest, commercialization often totally overlooks those deeper meanings and relies way too heavily on basic stereotypes. But we can constructively reframe these celebrations, and this is absolutely crucial for classroom and educational settings. Centering our celebrations on actual respect and understanding means moving away from generic drink specials and instead highlighting incredible, living cultural touchstones. We can focus on the vibrant sounds of traditional mariachi and regional music styles. We can highlight the breathtaking beauty and storytelling of folklorico dance. When it comes to food, instead of relying on fast food stereotypes, we can explore the amazing regional diversity of genuine Mexican cuisine, from the complex moles of Oaxaca to the fresh seafood dishes of the coasts. And perhaps most importantly, we can use the day to teach the language, share traditions, and really recognize the profound historical contributions of Mexican Americans.
Section 3. The broader immigrant tradition, sharing and adapting cultural holidays in the United States.
What I absolutely love about this whole topic is that Cinco de Mayo is not an isolated event. We see this exact same pattern play out repeatedly across different cultures. Whether it's Cinco de Mayo, Oktoberfest, or St. Patrick's Day, immigrant celebrations almost always become much larger, broader, and, more commercialized in the US than they ever were in their original native contexts.
Take Oktoberfest, for example. Its origin is incredibly specific. It started back in 1810, simply to celebrate a royal wedding in Munich, Germany. But over time, the German-American version has completely blown up, expanding far beyond a Bavarian royal anniversary into massive community-wide gatherings everywhere from Ohio to Texas, centered pretty much entirely around bratwurst, pretzels, and polka music. Just like Cinco de Mayo, it morphed into a giant gathering that almost everyone participates in, totally regardless of their own heritage.
And we see a remarkably similar and honestly kind of ironic story with St. Patrick's Day. Originally, this started as a strict, quiet, solemn religious feast day in Ireland. I mean, the pubs were actually closed. But as early Irish immigrants arrived in the U.S. facing immense prejudice in the 1800s, the day transformed. They used massive, loud, green-themed parades to assert their political power and loudly celebrate their identity in a new country. It transformed from a quiet religious observance into arguably the loudest public party in America. This incredible phenomenon of living cultural tradition absolutely thrives across so many different communities today. Just picture the Chinese Lunar New Year, bringing streets alive with cymbals, drums, and intricate weaving dragon dances focused on warding off bad spirits and welcoming renewal. Or think about the Hmong New Year, so visibly celebrated in Midwest communities, particularly in places like Wisconsin. It marks the harvest season, bringing everyone together with vibrant traditional clothing, courtship rituals, and cultural games that literally keep the community's history alive. You also have Scandinavian American communities celebrating 17. May, or Norwegian Constitution Day, wearing beautiful traditional dress known as bunads. Polish American communities proudly observe Polish Constitution Day on May 3rd. And, of course, you'll find Italian festivals like the Feast of San Gennaro, filling entire neighborhoods with incredible food and a community spirit deeply tied to historic traditions.
Section 4. How Cultures Reshape America. The Unique American Cultural Landscape.
All of these vibrant examples really zoom us out to a profound realization about the cultural landscape of the United States itself. It's not just a collection of separate traditions. It's an entirely new, breathing ecosystem. And this brings us to a core takeaway. The U.S. doesn't just absorb cultures, but acts as a highly dynamic place where distinct traditions are actively preserved, reshaped, and then shared with everyone. It is this continuous, beautiful, living process.
So I want to leave you with a final powerful thought to chew on as we wrap up today's explainer. How have your own family's cultural traditions evolved over time? Have they become broader, kind of commercialized, maybe more focused on specific foods or family gatherings? And just as importantly, how can you step out and celebrate the diverse traditions around you with a deeper, much more genuine understanding? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today.